Hello, folks. Welcome to the Crime Dawg podcast. I'm your host, Johnny FIORICA, retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department. After serving 30 years, I worked uniform patrol, undercover narcotics, street investigations, hostage negotiator for over 20 years, closing my career with the fine men and women of the ATF. That's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. It was a federal task force where our main focus was violence and gun trafficking throughout these great United States of America. Sitting alongside me, you know who it is, 22-plus year veteran, also a retired RPD detective. He was a legendary street cop. He was an undercover cop. He was a SWAT team member, homicide detective. David SIMPSON, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Happy to be here, Johnny.
David, we've done the circuit. We had a bunch of iHeart stuff this past week. We had Leslie.
Exhausting.
I know, man. We've had a lot of things going on, but we're doing a podcast tonight because we had Leslie Schilt on, who was a designated Republican representative for LD12, the legislative district for the county ledge, which represents Riga, West Henrietta, and Wheatfield. We had her on.
Wheatland.
Or Wheatland. What did I say? Wheatfield?
Wheatfield.
Yeah, Wheatland. Yeah, Wheatland. But anyways, we had her on. And when we had her on, it was a pod. We just dropped it a couple days ago. While we were on Lonsberry, we got a call in from one of her opponents, who is the conservative nod representative. Her name is Debbie Campanella. And we got her on tonight. So I'm interested to see what her side of the story is, what her program is, what her qualifications are. I'm interested to talk to her. So without further ado, folks, here she is, Debbie Campanella. Debbie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on your show. Appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you. We talked to Leslie, and the way we did it with Leslie, Deb, was we introduced you like we did. We introduced her like we just did to you. And then we asked just to tell our audience who you are, what you're running for, what your experience is. And then we'll kind of break it down, little finer pieces after you do that intro. Could you do that for our audience right now?
Sure. Happy to.
Thank you.
I am the conservative candidate for Monroe County Ledge, District 12, which includes the towns of Riga, Wheatland, and West Henrietta. And I am a Republican, which everybody wants to take away from me, but I am a sitting Republican elected official in Riga. Been on the town board approximately 16 years. I've won 4 straight consecutive races in this town. I am a wife and mother of 3 children. I have a 28-year-old son, a 23-year-old daughter, and another 20-year-old daughter. My husband's a retired Monroe County Sheriff's deputy. And I listened to your show the other day, and I thought I wanted to come on and set the record straight. So I'm here for that, and happy to answer any of your questions.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So what we talked about with Leslie, and maybe we'll just get it out in the open right now and talk about the elephant in the room. After we interviewed Leslie, the confusion that David and I had was usually the Republican nominee is, in most instances,
98% of the time. It's pretty high.
Gets the conservative nod. You have the conservative nod. She has the Republican nod. And we were confused relative to how that is, the dynamic of that, because it's basically 2 Republicans now and 1 Democrat. And what we had concerns about was that vote splitting. But take that in any which way direction you want to take it. But we just don't understand how she gets the Republican nod, you get the conservative nod.
Okay, well, there's a lot to it, that's for sure. So last October, I declared, and actually, I want to go back to one thing you said. So I'm the legal and insurance operations manager for a global tech company in Henrietta.
Okay.
My opponent's going door to door saying that I'm a real estate agent. I certainly am, and I'm proud of that for the past 20 years, and also a councilwoman. So I just wanted to set that record straight.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that.
Yes. The way that all this came to be is I declared that I was going to seek Legislator Brew's position in the ledge back in October. He came to me and asked me if I would be interested in running because he thought I would be a good candidate. So he's the sitting legislator at the time. And previously, he was the majority leader in the ledge, right? So he's been there 10 years. 2 years ago, Leslie challenged him when he was 8 years into his 10 years of service while he was the majority leader. So there's a little bit of history of this. At the time that I declared, Leslie said she wasn't going to run. And at the prompting of the Monroe County Republican chair at that time, who held a 1-year term and has since moved on, he asked her to run for the seat. And so she did.
And let me interrupt you for 1 second. Who's that?
Sure. Patrick Riley. He was the chairman at the time. Yep. He's no longer the chair.
Right. I just want to get the names right in my head so I know who's who and the players and all that. So that's all. Sorry.
There's a local attorney that's backing her as well, who's providing financial funding and encouraged her to run. So there's that. So she decided she was going to run. And what happens in the Republican Party and the bylaws, a mini convention is called, right? And the Monroe County Republican chair was responsible for certifying the list. They look at all the members of the 3 committees in the 3 towns. So Wheatland, Riga, and West Henrietta Republican committees were going to be convened to decide who the candidate was, who would receive the endorsement. So the mini convention was called. The chairman, Riley, certified the list. And postcards go out to all the people who are eligible to vote. So that the committee members have to be active, appointed committee members. They actually pass petitions to get on the committee, and they're serving on that capacity for a 2-year period. So that's what happened. Chairman certified the list. It was proved all in advance. Those people showed up to vote, and they chose me as their candidate. I received both the weighted vote, which is how it's done, and also the popular vote, which means more people and a higher weighted count. After the count, I think my opponent was surprised by the results. It wasn't what she was expecting, and she didn't accept it. So she decided to challenge it in court, and that's exactly what happened. So I won the endorsement. I was the candidate that they chose.
So just as a point of clarification for the audience, this was strictly for the Republican nod. This was to get anointed as the Republican nod. You guys have the mini convention that you talked about. You got the popular vote. You got all the votes. It doesn't happen. Now, correct me if
votes, but I won
the majority. You won the majority. Okay. Yep. So you technically got the Republican nomination at this time. So Leslie challenges it through a lawsuit.
Yes.
Okay.
She named myself, the Monroe County Republican Party, and the Board of Elections in a lawsuit. Right? She petitioned the court to throw out the results and declare her the candidate. She alleged that one person moved.
Okay. That's what I was going to get at right there. Yeah.
One person on the Henrietta committee moved and didn't change their address. Right? I don't want to really get into all the weeds.
No, right. Yeah.
Certainly look it up online.
Yeah.
But like I said, the list was certified. People voted. She asked the judge to throw it out and declare her the winner and her the endorsed candidate. He did not do that. He did throw out the results and ordered a new mini convention. And once he did that, she went back to court right away and appealed the decision. She didn't want a new mini convention. And it languished there. The next step would have been the primary. So I prepared for a primary because that's how it should be done, right?
Yeah.
Voters in the communities are supposed to choose their candidate. So we should have faced off in a primary, and then there wouldn't be a situation.
Right.
And if no primary, and because the Conservative Party had endorsed me, that takes away that opportunity for there to be one person and for them to have endorsed her. That's my understanding of it. But I had the Conservative nod. She had petitioned the court and was declared the candidate. So, excuse me, no, this was the mini convention. So we already knew the mini convention. We turned in our petition signatures. I turned in approximately 470 petition signatures, and she petitioned the court again to throw my petitions out. I have to backtrack one step. So I turned in the 470 signatures, and both the Republican and Democrat commissioners validated my petitions. We had a hearing. They looked at my petitions. They looked at her petitions and said they're valid. She didn't like those results either. So it took me back to that same judge in the Supreme Court, and he threw my petitions out based on the fact that at the bottom in the witness statement, 3 words were cut off the bottom. And I have it here. 3 words are missing, printing error. The suggested language reads, each of the individuals whose names are subscribed to this petition sheet containing X number of signatures subscribed the same in my presence on the dates above and indicated identified himself or herself to be the individual who signed this sheet. Signed the sheet was left off. So nothing was wrong with any of the signatures. And it was my understanding the statute called for substantial compliance, not strict compliance.
Yeah.
In any event, the judge threw out all the signatures.
Which judge?
Doyle.
Yeah, Doyle. Mind you, the town was right. The signatures were all there. Everything was right.
Yeah.
So what happened there, I mean, that takes away the will of the people, right? So a judge basically declared who the candidate was, and that's how she's on the Republican.
Well, something smells fishy with the judge's ruling. Why would the judge? What was the judge's basis for citing in her favor?
I don't know that. She argued that it was substantial compliance. Now, Leslie is a law clerk for the Supreme Court. I don't know anything else, but this case was brought in the Supreme Court, and the judge opted to throw out my petition. So that took away the right of our community voters to choose their candidate. So that put me on the conservative line. I had turned in petitions for that, and her on the Republican line. After the judge threw out those petition signatures, I decided it's difficult to go up against one of the 2-party lines, right?
Yeah.
I'm so proud to be on the conservative line, and I intend to win there. But it is difficult. And so I went out and got 500, nearly 600 more signatures in a 2-week period for an independent line called West Side First. Now, it's something that I created, West Side First. I wanted to, these towns are all on the West Side, so I thought that's a good party line.
Sure,
and it gave me another line on the ballot. And it gives people an option to choose something besides Democrat, Republican, or conservative. So they can choose this West Side First also.
Okay, so in sum and substance, David, this is what I got. None of this was mentioned during our interview with Leslie. And I'm just speaking factually. We're not here to bash anybody. But David, at the end of the day, what Debbie's saying is a primary between the two of them was not had. They take it to the mini convention with all the Republicans. They're trying to keep it within the Republican Party. She gets the majority of the votes to move forward to be the candidate. And then it goes in front of a judge, and one judge makes a decision. That to me, look,
well, you know how I feel about
from a voter,
right?
Well, I have to clarify something there. I did file an appeal of that judge's decision, and it went to the Court of Appeals, and that they decided to rule with the judge. They affirmed his decision. So I did try to appeal it at great expense to myself. But it didn't go anywhere. They just, I thought they should have overturned it. Because how can you take away the will of the people, right? I mean, that's what the Democrats do. They called Kamala as the candidate, and I liken this to that.
Well, I could see if they challenged your signatures, but they challenged like the last 3 words on the bottom of a document. They didn't challenge the actual signatures and if they're valid or if they're in the district and all that. They actually, challenged the typo. So it's a little...
David, what I have a problem with, and Deb, this is just me and David strictly talking with each other, and you chime in if you want to, but I have to honestly talk here like we talk on the radio, like we talk on the podcast, we talk on our live, we just shoot it down the middle. David, none of this was brought up by Leslie during our interview. This is huge, right? I mean, this is something that should have been brought up because we did inquire. I remember you specifically asked something like, Were you recruited? Were you asked?
Well, right. That's one of my big things is we have separate shows on what the GOP should be doing to get great candidates.
Yeah.
And how they recruit and how they approach people. And that's something I want to follow up with you. So that's one of the things I asked her. And if I remember correctly, I asked her that, and she said she was recruited by the Republican Party, and that's how she got the nod. And that was the end of it.
But that's the right way to say it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though. So, there's a difference between saying, okay, that answered our question, right? So she wasn't being less than truthful about that. So that's not what I'm saying. The thing is, though, if you're going to be forthright with your voters, to me, it would be like, hey, listen, this is what happened. The former chair, he moved out of town. He tapped me. I got the backing of other people in the party. I got tapped, blah, blah, blah. But this whole mini convention, David, was a major portion of how we got here, because we asked questions about the splitting of the party, the Republican conservative thing, and none of that, I don't think, was adequately addressed.
Well, it also wasn't brought up that Debbie has the backing of the Locust Club and the police union. You know what I mean? Like, it almost was like I was led to believe and you were led to believe. Again, I'm not as up to speed as I probably should be on West Side politics, but I assumed, shame on me. Yeah, right. I'm gonna have to take a ride through Riga, check it out. I would assume it'd be a reasonable assumption that the Republican candidate would have the endorsements of the police unions and the law enforcement, but clearly that was not made clear either. So it was a couple things.
So Deb, just scratching my head over. What David's talking about is, I mean, you from what we understood it to be, because after we released a teaser video with Leslie on it, we received a lot of people reached out to us. We have a lot of sources. A lot of people contact us. A lot of people contact us, whatever topic we have. I don't want to sound like we're rock stars. I'm not being arrogant like that. Please don't think that. But yeah. Just ask my mom. But anyways,
my mom doesn't even listen. Your mom at least listens.
But my concern is that when people hear content that we put out there, they call us. They set us straight. And how we promise to shoot it down the middle is, wait, time out. Now we worked with her hubby. We worked with her, and I don't remember how many cases. I think her husband had some of my drug cases. And I think she said I had a case for her. David worked in a child crimes unit. This is not an episode to bash Leslie, and I'm not trying to. We're not doing that. But my point is that we had a ton of people reach out after we put the teaser out there, going, "Hey, time out, guys. There's two other candidates here. You gave the stage to one." And that's why we were like, because even after we interviewed her, we're like, hey, man, I'd love to hear from the other candidates, even your Democratic candidate. We'd love to hear from her.
But I shout that out all the time. And this is separate from this.
It's not new.
If anyone wants to come on this radio shows or come on the podcast, and we've had sitting congresswomen, we've had state senators on, we've had people running for Congress. And
we had county judge people.
Right. Why don't you have the Democrats on? Why don't you have this person on? Listen,
we would love to.
Call the phone. I'm not out here. I'm retired. I don't recruit people. They call us and we'll have you on. This is separate from Debbie and this incident. I'm just saying a general service announcement. If you get upset that you're not on the show and you're running for something, it's because you didn't pick up the phone and ask to be on the show. I mean, we don't turn people away.
Right. Well, we don't want to steal time away from, but that was just kind of like our message to everybody. But I want to go back to what David was saying, is the fact that I was involved a lot with the unions for a while in my career, and I was part of the PAC committees. I was part of all these committees. I was telling David earlier today, You pretty much made a clean sweep of all the police unions and not other unions, but the police unions. You got endorsed by all of them. Is that correct?
All of them. Yep.
So you got endorsed by
Rochester Police Locust Club, the Federation, and the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. All of them, and then also the Monroe County Airport firefighters.
Well, shout out to the Locust Club. They're our home jersey. We wore that for years. Shout out to the boys over there, Jeff Waiter and the boys and girls.
I would like it on record that I went to 4 union meetings in 23 years, so I did attend there.
Well,
a couple clam bakes.
They got the Locust Club endorsement, and I know the Locust Club is part of what they call the Federation, which includes the Monroe County Sheriff's Department and all the other town union police departments, and all their union presidents. And this was all interviews, right? So you all went in front of a panel.
So I with all of them.
Oh, really?
Right. So that's what I want to explain to the audience.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah. So all the candidates went in front of the Federation?
Yes, one by one.
Yeah.
And then they pick who they want to support.
There's a room, a bunch of tables in front of me, and then I sat on the opposite. Yes. So I interviewed with them back in May. I know that my opponent interviewed with them as well, and they made their decision. They put it to a vote, or they made who they thought they were going to endorse. They put it to a vote of all their members. Both in the Locust Club and the Sheriff's Office did that. And I came away with their endorsement, and I'm so incredibly proud to have it. That means everything to me. I'm a wife of a police officer, retired.
Well, and I got to be honest with you, and I'll just explain the process to the audience and to David, who only attended a couple meetings. But
please do.
But here's the thing. I was invited, David, it's almost like a college PhD dissertation. You have a chair.
I wouldn't know anything about that either, Johnny.
You have a chair.
For example.
You're in the middle of the room, and there is a panel of all the union heads.
That's right.
And there's 10, 15, 20 guys and girls up there, union heads, and they're firing questions at you. And they're asking your opinion on X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. So it's pretty impressive that you got the nod. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you. I'm so incredibly proud.
Yeah.
And I will support them when I'm successful in the ledge race. And public safety is near and dear to my heart.
Right. Well, that's phenomenal.
Story when my husband was on the SWAT team, he wasn't home, and a SWAT call came in. So I ran around the house. I gathered all his stuff, his go bag, and his and all the stuff he wore, and I had it ready. And he came home, and I said, "You got to go. Everything's ready. Here you go. Go." And his running joke is that I was the only wife who wasn't stressed out. They would have a SWAT call. They'd be gone all night, and I would go to sleep while all their wives are worrying. And the reason that I would go to sleep is because I knew all the guys who had his back. Right? I knew that I could trust them. I knew that they were all strong and smart and trained well and tactical. And so I knew, I felt comfortable that he would come home safe.
Do they do the oral board, if you will, and with the candidates only for the county legislator positions, or for per time they endorse someone, they go through this process?
Every time. Yep. When I was there, the sheriff was there. There were school board people there, and they did a schedule, and we all came in.
Yeah. They schedule everybody. And the thing is all the candidates get asked pretty much the same questions. But at the end of the day, it's a tedious process. The unions take it very seriously. I mean, I know at least the police unions do. And I know the Teamsters and all the other CSEA, I know they do the same thing. I don't know about their processes, but I could tell you that I know the Locust Club is pretty diligent when they do their nominations.
Now, Deb,
Teamsters as well. My father-in-law was a Teamster, so those are working people who deliver things to consumers. So.
I just wanted to ask Deb about when she the previous legislature that had the position. He's the one that approached you about taking his place. Is that common practice? Is that kind of like how it's usually how it usually happens? Is it like someone leaves and they're like, they see someone is that how it works, or does the party tap you? Because I'm interested in why we're losing elections on the higher levels and how candidates get chosen. So any insight I can get into this behind the curtain, I would love to educate myself on.
I personally, the Republican Party is great to work with. I've been proud to be a Republican, but that should be a grassroots thing, right? That comes from the local committees. You want to keep your representation in your same community. Steve, Legislator Brew, is from Riga. So he was interested in finding someone who would have his same values, conservative Republican values, and run the race and also win. I've won 4 elections. So I know and as a Republican and endorsed by the Conservative Party each time. So he was confident that I would win. And so that's why he came and asked me if I would be interested in running.
Interesting.
And you guys, I got to tell you this, though. The one thing I will tell you that when we interviewed Leslie, it was something that, and I say this honestly, not to be funny, we were, for lack of better descriptive words, we were ghetto cops. We worked in the hood, and specifically, not only did we work those areas.
Moderately insulting, Johnny.
Thank goodness you did.
Well, I mean, it's legitimately, that's what we did, right, David? And David and I, this is why we have a good symbiotic relationship, is because our careers modeled each other, which is why we paired up to do this. We went after drugs and guns and trafficking. But that's like our focus is like violence and drugs and guns and murders and this and that. It was an epiphany to hear when Leslie spoke about farmers, about the needs of these 3 towns, about what you guys face, the challenges you face. It's not so much the crime, but so much as a livelihood, and putting food on a table for your families. It was very impressive to listen only because my brain gets caught up in what people see in the news, and what people see in the news is what our career was all about. And to have somebody that are interested in advocating for the farmers and for the people in these rural areas, doesn't get any attention because all the attention goes to the bad kids.
Yeah, but I mean, so we in the rural areas, we have the same concerns. We want to protect our farmland, right? That this is Riga and Wheatland are big farmland communities, so we want to protect that. I think that a top concern. There's other things that are equally as important, right? There's keeping your taxes low, right? And have a government that's accountable.
Mm-hmm.
We had a big school tax increase, which when I go door to door, that's what they're saying is my school tax went up a lot. In Riga, we have a zero town tax. And the reason we have a zero town tax is because we manage our budget within the funds that we have coming in. And we analyze every single item that is spent. We go line by line and make sure that our budget is within the amounts that we have coming in. And we have a landfill in town. So we have a host benefit agreement. We have monies that come in, and we make sure that we don't spend beyond that. So that's why we have a zero town tax rate. And the residents here love that. That's just in Riga. But I want to take those conservative values to the county. In addition to that, public safety is a top concern. You need to have, especially out here, same as in the city and anywhere else, we want to have safe neighborhoods, schools, communities. And the only way you can have safe neighborhoods, schools, and communities is if you resource your public safety. And that includes police, includes fire, includes 911, includes EMS, all of it. So those are things that are important to us. EMS has an issue right now, right? Emergency medical services. When you call 911, you want to know that if you're having a heart attack, that somebody's going to be there in a relatively short period of time. So that's a priority for me, in addition to public safety, and also making sure our communities are business friendly, right? Valuing. I work for a tech company, so innovation is important, and keeping jobs in Monroe County is important. So I want to make sure that the jobs stay here. We have job creation. And when you help the economy in that way, it helps everyone to pay their taxes, right? And you want accountable government to make sure that they're spending money on things that they should be spending money on. So all of these things factor in, and we want to also out here preserve the rural quality of our neighborhoods. So it all goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean that's what we were talking about too. David and I talked off camera about it. It's the needs of rural versus inner city. Yeah, public safety is obviously a concern for both, but the nice thing that doesn't hit the news where you guys are is the violence. But to me, just as important as that is helping out people that are actually hardworking people that are out there doing a job every day when they get up at the crack ass of dawn to go plow a field, that they have just as much support as people do in depressed neighborhoods in the inner city who are just trying to make ends meet too. But like I said, I mean, I legitimately, maybe selfishly, because of the way our careers went, never thought about that. But it's definitely eye-opening interviewing candidates that want to represent these types of districts, because you're representing men and women who are doing things that are very honorable, that provide goods and services and food mainly to people in their region and throughout the United States. It's pretty honorable.
Thank you. Everybody wants their essential needs to be met, right? That's at the heart of things. That's the core of it. I would like to invite you, come on out to Churchville, come on out to Wheatland and see these communities. I'll give you a tour.
We'd love to. We would love to come out there. David, we got an invite to a couple, we got invitations to MC a couple festivals out. I think one was, I don't remember, Honeyway or I forget.
Really?
Lima. Yeah, I mean, they reached out through our stuff, but we would love to come out and just hang out and have a corn dog at a Riga festival. It'd be awesome.
Just so you know, a lot of police officers love living in Riga. I'm sure it's the same in Wheatland and West Henrietta, but this community, remember, I'm a real estate agent. Sell homes to lots of police officers because they like it out here. They have privacy. You don't have a lot of, not everyone's knocking on your door or staring in your window. So,
well, full disclosure, my dad lived in Livonia, so I grew up on 60 acres with 3 horses in Livonia on Canisius Lake, and my mom lived in the city. Even when I was on the job, she lived off of Thurston Road. So I was kind of the kid that had like the city on the weekends, and during the week I was, riding a horse and skiing and fishing and doing all that. So I can appreciate there's something special about the rural lifestyle and country living, if you will. And when I was young, I couldn't wait to get in the city, as every kid would, because action and girls and parties and everything that kids want to do. But now as you get older, I'm like, man, I would love to have 60 acres with 3 horses on Canisius Lake now and be living out that way. So
I have 12 acres and I put back to Black Creek. You can come visit anytime.
That's great.
Well, we're gonna wrap things up. Deb, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you for coming on and sharing your side, your version of events that have transpired. Again, we say it again. The Democratic candidate, the biologist, Ms. Jeffries, if she's listening and watching, we welcome her to come on. Everybody's always welcome on our podcast. But we appreciate you stopping by and talking to our audience tonight, Deb. We appreciate you very much.
My pleasure. And
good luck.
I appreciate both of you. Thanks for everything you've done in your careers.
All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, David, there you have it. We got 2 out of the 3 candidates. 66% of LD12 have been interviewed. Like I said, man, I know I sound like, we're just keep on repeating ourselves. My wife calls me Johnny the Repeater, but I mean, at the end of the day, I would love to interview Ms. Jeffries and have her come on and give her a fair shot to throw her thoughts and views out there. We talked to Leslie Schilt. We talked to Debbie Campanella. They're all running for LD12, which is Wheatland, Riga, and West Henrietta. I'd love to get the Democratic side. I think, and I'm going to say this, and I don't say it tongue in cheek, I don't think Democrats want to come on because I think they feel that we're going to bash them, which is totally not the case. We want to have discussions with people. We want to talk to people. That's the whole thing. By nature, David, what we did for a living as detectives, you and I cultivated informants. We talked to victims, witness, suspects, interrogated people. I mean, that by nature, this is what we do for a living. We like to talk to people. And I got to be honest with you, in retirement, I would love to have conversations with people that may not necessarily share the same views as us, but I would like to learn and understand their perspective. And I don't want to sound like a politician myself, but I really mean that.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think it's a unique it's a unique position that we have to want to hear from someone on the other side.
Yeah.
And we are okay with disagreement and debate. And I go back, like when Rachel was on, there's things we didn't agree with.
Right.
We're not uncomfortable by that. I'm not personally attacked by that. You're not personally attacked by that. I feel like people from the Democratic Party don't come on our podcast because they know there's policies that they have that we're not going to agree on. And I don't think they want to deal with that. I don't think they feel like we're going to beat them up. I think there's enough tape to see that we've proven ourselves that we don't do that and we don't do the gotcha. Yeah. I just don't think that party wants people to argue common sense positions on the other side. I just don't think it's a value to them. But we welcome them if they would like to have a healthy debate and kind of try to sell us on where they're coming from. We are open to it, but I don't see it a lot on that coming from that side.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking today because I was watching my little guy Frankie was sleeping. My special needs brother-in-law was sleeping, and I was flipping through the channels when he was taking a nap, and I was like, after doing these interviews, especially these two this week, and being on Lonsberry and covering for Bob for his when he's out of town, our dialogue that we have, and be honest with our audience, when I was watching national news, it doesn't seem like the national politicians can ever say, you know what? I listened to your side. I disagreed with you, but I understand where you're coming from. Like that perspective is never said. It's always like a hard no. It's always like, shut up. No. Guerrilla. Boom. I'm going to smash your city. Boom. Boom. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. It's like all or nothing. And I kind of see for the most part, not all the Republicans on the national circuit, but I kind of see them going, I kind of get it. The only Democrat that I see doing that is like we've talked about is Fetterman.
Right. And he's the guy, I would totally vote for the guy and I would totally go have a beer with the guy. Like there's things I'm not going to agree with him on, but I would totally sit down with him and hang out with the guy. And I would probably, if I lived in the community where he was running, he'd be a tough guy to beat. I'm a Republican and I would think about voting for him.
Right.
He makes a lot of sense.
Well, why, David? Because we talk about voting policies, not people, right?
Right. And he comes across as someone you can trust.
Right.
He's looking out for the betterment of his constituents, not the betterment of his party. And he's voting for the needs of his people, not for the party.
And listen, I'll say another name, which may not be popular, but Jared Moskowitz, he's a Democrat in Florida. He seems, even though he may not vote, he votes in a certain direction, but he doesn't seem like he's off the charts, an irrational dude. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem like he's irrational. He doesn't seem like you can't have a conversation with him. I see him and Byron Donald chumming around and they're friends and they talk. And I've seen interviews with Brian saying, yeah, man, he's a friend of mine. We may not vote the same way, but he's not unhinged. He's not irrational kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Those are the types of politicians I'm talking about.
Moderates.
Anyways, I feel like I'm babbling now, but when I start babbling, it's just like my thoughts just keep going. It's almost like we're talking, shooting a shit at the bar. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's at the end of the day, I got to be honest with you. I don't like the split vote on this instance. I don't like the Republican and the Conservative Party splitting because that's no bueno for the party.
It's a recipe for losing. I mean, honestly, it's a game plan of losing. Look at what's going on in New York City. You know what I mean? Like if Cuomo, I'm not a Cuomo guy, but if Cuomo was on there and he was going against Zorro on his own, it'd be a dogfight. That's a wrap right now because they're going to split the vote. So it's just, it worries you when you see that. That's why it kind of, when we got done the other day, we were like, that doesn't, there's something going there. That doesn't happen.
Well, and I kind of looked at it a little bit, and I started to do a little bit of research minimally. I had a bunch of people calling me and educating me and DMing me and emailing me through our different platforms. Henrietta seems like it's 50%, right? Kind of, sort of. I might be wrong, but it seems like the registered Democrats, registered Republicans kind of split down the middle. And I don't know how that fares. I don't know if it's with the whole town or I'm pretty sure it's the whole town. And I don't know how that fares with West Henrietta. I don't know how it's split, but I know Riga's pretty much 3-1 Republican to Democrat, but splitting the votes, even with that 3-1 is not good. You know what I mean? So hopefully they can get their shit together.
It could become 2 or 1.75 to 1 really
That's what I'm
fast.
saying, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So it could be, I know, it's just unbelievable. Well, we know there's some people in the GOP that don't like our shtick. We really don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. You don't give a shit. We just call it like we see it. And we're not saying anything that I think the younger people in the GOP don't agree with us on. The cultivation of people, recruiting people, trying to get younger people involved. The old guard, the old way of doing things. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem to be working.
They allow talent to fall in their lap. They don't recruit talent. And to me, if you have stars in whatever job you're in, if I'm running a company, if I'm running a police department, if I'm running a professional sports team, or if I'm running a political party, you see stars. When you see a star, when it walks in front of you, and you recruit that star to be on your team. That's just how it's done. If you wait for that star to fall in your lap, you're going to be really disappointed. So, that's about my big gripe, and I'll never back down from that. I feel like they don't do a good job. They wait for these people to reach out to them, and people need to be stroked a little bit. People want to know that people want them to run and have the backing of the party and believe in them, and that can go a long way, especially when there's some unity within the party. And all the rock stars I know that are Republican don't feel that way. And the last guy that I personally know was Rory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was Rory.
Right.
And he won.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of other Republican superstars walking around that aren't running for office that should be, and they should be getting recruited to do so. But I'm off the soapbox.
Well, there's two things. I think the reason why we talk about that recruitment end of it, it's because that's how our careers were, right? I mean, you and I were recruited to go to different places in our careers. We were asked by certain leaders, hey, I like what you're doing. The next time an opening comes up, I want to have you on your team. And guys like us, if we knew that we wanted to go somewhere where we didn't feel we were welcome, we wouldn't go.
100%.
We wouldn't go.
100%.
It's like, hey, man, why would I go somewhere where I'm not wanted? I don't need you to kiss my ass. But if I have a boss on one hand going, hey, Johnny, I think you'd be a good fit over here. I'd like you to come over here. I'm like, okay, cool. I go, and that's what you're talking about. You're talking about cultivating and recruitment. The second point I want to make is it's the same thing we talked about, David, when I told you I had my daughter's hibachi Blackstone cookout in my backyard about a month ago, and I was talking to kids at her age, anywhere from 26 to 30, and the people in my backyard, and they'll listen to our live stream after I had that little barbecue. That's when I said the GOP's got to maybe go to these places and recruit from and talk to people or cultivate, because some of these kids may not even know they want to be involved.
Well, I almost feel like that if you go to someone and recruit them to run, then there's this thing where a candidate would feel like the GOP is going to pay for them to run. Everyone knows if you run for office, you got to come up with your own cash. Everyone knows that.
Well,
100%. Like whatever you're running, you can run for town board or the library committee. You got to pay for it. No one's cutting you a check. Everyone knows that. But no one's going to do that and put the work in unless they think that people want them to do it and they believe in them. I mean, it takes a special person just to be like, hey, you know what? I want to run for this, and I'm going to walk up and just interject my name into everything and try to run it. I certainly would never do that. I know a lot of people would never do that. So I think they need to do a better job and target these young professionals, these smart kids that are charismatic, and target them and just get them interested at the low levels of politics and let it grow from the bottom up with these youngsters.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
No, I know. Well, folks, there you have it. We interviewed 2 out of the 3. That would be 66% of the candidates for LD12, County Ledge in Wheatland, Riga, and West Henrietta. And there you have it, David. Folks, you're listening to the Crime Dawg podcast. We hope you stick with us for future episodes. Like my brother-in-law, Frankie Grassi, says, if you can't make it next time, who cares? Hoorah.